Hello and welcome to this special episode of the introduction for my Walking with Elizabeth collection. I'm very excited to share this with you today. The Walking with Elizabeth collection is my new 3-shawl collection. I have done in collaboration with Victoria from Eden Cottage Yarns. So not only did this collection, it's about I was working with my favourite independent dyer, Victoria. I also got to explore in more detail Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice, and the whole collection was set around pivotal moments in the story where Elizabeth, she happens to be out walking at the same time, but major things happened at those times in the story. And this is a collection of shawls set around those moments in the book. As I said, it is a 3-shawl collection. And each shawl uses a different yarn from Eden Cottage Yarns, depending on the particular design and what I was after with it. And I have to say I had great fun putting this whole collection together. It was a dream to design, and it was a dream to work on and to knit, and I had such great fun working with Victoria for this whole collection. The collection will be available to see on Victoria's Eden Cottage Yarn booth at Yarndale this weekend. So if you are attending that this year, you will be able to see the collection on her booth in person. I won't be there myself, but the collection will be. So I do hope you pop along and see the collection. And I'd absolutely love, if you did get to see it, that you let me know. I'd love to hear. So I think we'll get started with looking at the first shawl. So I'll just take a moment to pop the first shawl I want to show you onto the. So I'm back now, and we have the first shawl on the mannequin, and this first shawl is Rosings Grove. Now Rosings Grove is set in that moment in the book where Darcy has just proposed to Elizabeth and she has refused him, and he has gone to back to Rosings Park, and he has written that letter to her. Elizabeth has gotten up the next morning with a headache, and she's gone out for an early walk, not wishing to see either Mr. Collins or Charlotte, and she comes across Darcy in the Grove, and he hands her the letter. So this shawl was set around that particular moment, so it was. I used both a natural colour for the sample and then this really deep dark aubergine purple, just to highlight how grand a place Rosings Park was, and how Elizabeth would have maybe had her very best of shawls with her for attending dinners in Rosings Park. It also reflects, I think, a little bit of how dark and sombre Lady Catherine can be, and that was the thoughts behind the choosing of the sample colours, because each of the sample colours were chosen for a particular feeling and look and effect in the design. So it was. So some of the details of Rosings Park, Rosings Grove. It is knit in the Milburn 4-ply yarn from Eden Cottage Yarns, and that is 85% blue flace Leicester and 15% silk. The 4-ply yarn. It is 60 inches wide and it is 21 inches deep. It was knit on a 3.5mm needle, and you will need 400 meters of both the main colour and the contrasting colour. You'll need 400 meters of both, so you will. And really, we'll take a closer up look at it now, so we will. So the main body of Rosings Grove is this, let's see if I can get it a little closer. There is a very delicate rib pattern worked into the body of it just to, there we go, you'll see it there at that angle, just to add a little bit of interest without it taking away from it. So it's very delicate, so it is, and it stretches out wonderfully. And that leads on into this beautiful, this is the beautiful, now this colour is the black tulip colourway that I've used for the lace. This is the black tulip colourway in the Milburn 4-ply. I forgot, and this is natural. I think I forgot to mention the colours that I used for it. So that's what these are. So we have this beautiful lace section then on Rosings Grove, and it is this beautiful wide lace. It was a pleasure to work that, and it was a simple repeatable pattern, so it was quite an easy lace, so it was to knit. And we then have an eyelet section, and then we finish off with just some simple garter stitch edging, if that'll focus there. There we go, that's a closer up look of it there. So this is, so as I said, this is 60 inches wide, so it is roughly, yeah, exactly my wingspan, maybe a little bit over, just a little bit over, and I'm 5 foot, if that's anything to go by. So it is definitely my wingspan, and it is a white crescent shawl, and that's it. And you'll see the edges of it have this beautiful roll that when you wear it, it's just beautiful. It just adds that little bit extra interest on the edges. So that is Rosings Grove. That is the first shawl. Just bear with me a moment and we'll get the second shawl onto the man. So the second shawl in the collection is called Pemberley Woods. So as you might be able to guess, this shawl is set around the time in the book when Elizabeth visits Pemberley with her aunt and uncle, and when she first catches a glimpse of Pemberley, I think at that moment she really begins to fall in love first with the house, I think, and she really enjoys, because she loves it. She loves where it's set. I think she probably likes how far it is from Longbourn too, and her mother. But I think once she goes in and they have a tour around, and she begins to listen to the housekeeper, that coupled with the letter that she has just received from Darcy when at Rosings Park, she realises that maybe there's more to Mr Darcy than first meets the eye, and things are not just as they seem. And I think at that point she begins to fall in love with him also. You know, her feelings have changed, and she admits that when she sees him. So this shawl is all about that particular moment, and it's a shawl of contrasts. There is a quiet and subdued section here, and this is leading up to the point of her discovering, of her just coming on to Pemberley and then walking around. And as she begins to walk around, everything changes, and she then, of course, we have that moment where everything completely changes, and she comes across Darcy in the gardens, and the end part of this shawl represents that whole, and her mixed feelings towards Darcy even at that stage. This is a triangular shawl. It has started at one point and it has worked out to its widest point at the end. Now this shawl is 72 inches long, and it is 36 inches wide at its widest point at the end. So it is. The yarn that I used for this was the Pemberley 4-ply yarn from Eton Cottage Yarns, and this is 100% superwash merino yarn. Now the colours I used in this were Rambling Rose and Briar Rose, and I will show those to you now when I take the the sample of the mannequin. You will need 400 meters of each of those colours. I used fern, which you can catch a glimpse of here, which is this bright green that you see up here. I used fern, and I used 140 meters in that, and then the fuchsia, which is this beautiful, gorgeous, bright, vibrant pink here at the end. I used 300 meters of that. So this is quite a substantial shawl. So it is. There's a lot of shawl here. So there is, and it is wonderful to wrap yourself up in. It was just absolutely gorgeous. So it was. This was also knit on a 3.5mm needle, and I'm going to take it off now and give you a close-up look at it. So, as I said, the first part of, I'm going to sit forward a bit, excuse my squeaking chair. So we start here at a point and we work up. Now, this, you'll see here, this pale pink here, this is the Rambling Rose, and the darker pink is the Briar Rose. So these here are the two colours here, Rambling Rose and Briar Rose, and they're just worked in a simple stripe pattern. As you work your way up, as you work yourself way up the body of the shawl. And as I said, this is very much Elizabeth walking around Pemberley and discovering the whole lot. At that point then, we suddenly come across Mr Darcy, and everything changes, and we have this introduction of a bright, vibrant fern green. And this is worked in a beautiful wide rib stitch, and that then flows into another stripe section, this time using the Briar Rose, the fuchsia and the fern. So things are picking up here. We've initially come across Mr Darcy, and in the book he goes off and he changes, and he comes back and he's walking around with her. So that's very much what the end of this, and then we finish off with this beautiful wide lace section here at the very end. In this is in the fuchsia colorway, so this just finishes it off. So I'll hold it back a bit and you might be able to get a better look. It's very hard to get all of this into the into shot, but we'll get enough of the pieces that you'll get a good idea. So you'll see we have the wide lace border, we have the varying colours of stripes, and we have the rib, and that leads on into the border, not the border, this leads on into the body of the stripe. I'm working backwards, excuse me. So it is, as I said, 72 inches long, so that is definitely way beyond my wingspan. It is my wingspan and a half again, so it is. So it's beautiful, and it's wonderful for and the widest point across here, this is 36 inches across the very bottom here. And as I said, it is a long triangular shawl, and it is wonderful for wrapping yourself up in. So this is the second shawl in the collection, Pemberley Woods. I'll just take a moment now and pop the last shawl onto the mannequin for you. So the last shawl we have in the collection is called Longbourn Avenues. At this point, this is towards the very end of the book. Time has passed. The whole fiasco with Lydia has passed, and Elizabeth has found out what Mr Darcy has done. Mr Bingley has proposed to Jane, and so he has come to the house, and Darcy, being his friend, has come with it. And Elizabeth has been charged with keeping, as Mrs Bennet likes to put it in the book, with keeping Darcy occupied so that Bingley and Jane can be together. And that's exactly what it is. So they go out for a walk. So as you see again, we're walking, and so you get an idea now of why the whole collection is called Walking with Elizabeth. So they're walking around the avenues around Longbourn, so they are, and she has to thank him for what he's done for Lydia. And it is at this point that it finally all comes out that everything he's done it for her, and that he still in love with her, and he still wishes to marry her. And at that point we learn that she has changed her mind and she's in love with him also. So that is, this whole shawl is around those particular moments. So I took inspiration from those avenues, and on the body of the shawl, one of the main features you will see are these wonderful ridge stitches that are worked down it. And the shawl almost seems like it's back to front, but it is such a wonderful feature of the shawl, and I'll give you a close-up look of it in a moment and you'll see. It then leads into the ridges continue down through the lace section of it, and we have an applied border worked this time. Now the colours I used for this are silver birch, and this is dahlia. Now these yarns are in Eden Cottage Yarns Oakworth 4-ply, and that is 100% superwash New Zealand Polworth wool. And the great thing about the Oakworth, it has fantastic stitch definition. That was one of the main reasons I chose this yarn. I love the stitch definition that you get with the Oakworth. It brings something a little different to that the other yarns. Each of the yarns I chose all suited the designs in particular, and that's obviously why I chose them. But the Oakworth has fantastic stitch definition. So with those ridge lines being one of the main features that I had on it, it was the perfect yarn to choose for it. Now this uses 600 meters of the main color and then 300 meters of the contrasting color. It is 59 inches wide and it is 21 inches deep, and again it uses a 3.5mm needle. So you only need the one needle and you can knit all of these. So this is a crescent shaped shawl as well, I should say. So this is the, you'll see this is the ridge lines that we have in the main body of Longbourn Avenues, and they're lovely. So as I said, this is the silver birch colourway, and that leads into this gorgeous dahlia colourway, which is a beautiful, beautiful soft peach. And you'll see those ridges, they run down into the lace. So they do. They run down into the lace. There's a better shot of that there. And then we have this applied border that is worked onto the main body of the shawl. So I love applied borders because you are casting off as you're working your border, and it is wonderful. And you're only, depending on how wide your border is, you're only working over those border stitches. So we have this beautiful applied border edge on it, and this is as I said, this is the point in the story where everything comes together and it all comes to light, and we realise how much Darcy still loves Elizabeth and how Elizabeth loves Darcy. So that is what this whole shawl is about. So you will see, this is, I'd like to tell you I have a favourite, but I don't. I love all three of them equally, and I hope you do too. I hope you do too. So as I said, 59 inches wide, so this would be the width of my wingspan, so it would, and it is 21 inches deep. And so that is the Longbourn Avenues. I'm going to pop this back onto the mannequin, and I want to tell you now about a giveaway. I am opening up a thread in the Ravelry group. It is specifically for the Walking with Elizabeth collection, and I want you to tell me your favourite moment in the Pride and Prejudice book. Just, I don't mind what it is, your favourite moment in the Pride and Prejudice book. And all the winners will, or all the entries will go in to a draw, and the winner will receive the entire collection gifted to their Ravelry library. So they will, I leave the thread open for 2 weeks. I'll double check the dates, and so roughly about 2 weeks. We leave we leave that open, and we'll have the draw. We'll have the winner picked on the podcast. So that could be fun. So, as I said, once the pattern goes live, there will be a giveaway in the Ravelry group. And just tell me your favourite moment in the Pride and Prejudice book, and you could be the winner of that whole collection in your Ravelry library. So I hope you enjoyed the introduction to the Walking with Elizabeth collection. I hope you enjoy all of the shawls. If you hashtag Knitterarium, or I will on social media, if you are knitting any of them, I'd love to see your versions. I'd love to see the yarns you're choosing, how you're getting on with them. There will be threads open for each of the individual patterns in the Ravelry group also, and you can pop any questions in there, or if you want to show off your yarn, I'd love to see it. Pop those into that, and we'd love to have a look and see at what you're knitting up and your versions of them. So thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.